Hello, I'm Jonathan Banks, Executive Automotive Analyst with NADA Used Car Guide. The increase in gas prices is hard to miss if you've been to the pump, opened your local newspaper, or driven past a gas station recently. In fact, prices are up by over 35 cents a gallon in the past 5 months and have averaged over $3 during 2011. But fuel prices have increased dramatically during the past week, driven by expected oil supply shocks from the political unrest in the Middle East and North African countries. This has caused a flurry of media articles increasing the awareness of a potential doomsday scenario, while also making the cost of filling the tank a much more painful process. Prices should fall as we enter spring, but instead they've increased over 18 cents during the past week, according to AAA. The price increases have many in the auto industry concerned with the near-term impact to used vehicle prices, with some anticipating a shift in demand away from larger vehicles, similar to when gas prices reached $4.11 per gallon back in July 2008. Historically, increases or decreases in gas prices, especially large ones, impact the price relationship between gas, larger, less fuel-efficient vehicles, and smaller, fuel-efficient vehicles. In 2008, prices of large SUVs plummeted following the spike in gas prices, but the values quickly recovered as gas prices fell just as quickly a few months later. In fact, if consumers had held on to their SUVs for another year, the values of their vehicles would have likely been above the prices before the gas crunch. While we expect a continuation of this trend, barring an extreme increase in gas prices, it's unlikely that used vehicle prices will experience the extreme volatility we saw in 2008 for two primary reasons: increased consumer tolerance for higher fuel prices and reduced used vehicle supply. In plainer terms, with each passing fuel spike, consumer tolerance for higher prices is increased, and demand shifts occur at a higher price point relative to the past. In 2008, we thought the psychological boundary was somewhere in the $3 to $3.25 range. However, clearly consumer tolerances have changed and the tipping point is expected to be closer to $4. As such, there may be increased willingness to ride out the storm and not make any abrupt changes in household fleets. Overall supply of used trucks and SUVs has been declining dramatically since 2009 and is expected to be down by 30 to 35% in 2011 relative to 2008. This is due in large part to the shift in consumer demand and subsequent shift in manufacturer production, stemming from the most recent fuel price peak of 2008. NADA expects the disparity in supply to help mitigate some of the expected declines on the most fuel-sensitive truck segments from extreme price shocks. During the previous two major swings in gas prices, used prices for large pickups and SUVs moved about 1% for each 10-cent change in price per gallon. So if gas prices moved up by 10 cents, SUV values dropped by about 1% above the expected drop. In contrast, compact cars gained about 1.4% in price for each 10-cent increase in the average price per gallon. Vehicles with exceptionally low or exceptionally high fuel economy had stronger impacts. So hybrid vehicles may be poised for a comeback if gas price increases persist. Over the last 6 months, gasoline prices have increased by 3 to 4 cents per week after removing the typical seasonal pattern. We expect this to continue in the short term, resulting in price increases of 20 to 30 cents from March to April. Media coverage of these changes has ballooned in the last few weeks, with articles relating to gas prices increasing sevenfold between the last several months of 2010 and 2011 to date. A similar spike in coverage occurred during the last gas price peak in 2008. As a result, we expect 2 to 3% depreciation in the large pickup and large SUV segments, excluding the movements expected otherwise. In contrast, we expect compact and subcompact cars to show a gain of 3 to 4%. Other segments will show impact between these two extremes, roughly determined by the average mile per gallon rating within the segment. Current gas prices will have an impact on consumer preferences for new vehicles, thereby impacting used vehicle prices. As in 2008, the degree to which prices will increase near term, as well as the long-term implications, is debatable. Obviously, if more supply disruptions occur in other countries, barrel prices will become more volatile. However, there is already evidence that any shortcomings in oil supply can be temporarily filled by other countries. There's universal agreement that prices will continue to increase sharply as the unrest in the Middle East rages on, but we should see stability in oil supply as the conflict in Libya is being settled. Our adjustments reflect short-term assumptions through April, which we'll monitor closely as we gather weekly data on vehicle price performance. Using history as a guide, it is likely that gas prices will normalize as supply shocks are mitigated and a clearer picture of the supply-demand relationship is established. For more information, please see our March guidelines.